Welcome, gathered friends, to the beautiful island of Voya Nui. My name is Toa Zellin, and today I'll be taking you on a tour of some of the many amazing sites and locations that Voya Nui is home to. In doing so, I hope to dispel many of the myths and misconceptions that led some beings to give Voya Nui such unfair names as the Island of Doom and Daggers of Death. The first stop on our tour is actually right here. The Voya Nui Lighthouse will be a familiar and welcoming sight to anyone who has traveled to the island before. While it is far from the largest lighthouse, it is more than sufficient for the relatively low volume of traffic that the island receives. The lighthouse is also the first example we'll see of Voya Nui's signature style of integral lightstone construction. As you can see, the lightstones are built directly into the structure of the lighthouse rather than being located in a separate aperture. This makes the lighthouse much more resilient and allows it to keep its light shining during Voya Nui's more turbulent storms. It also has the added benefit of saving on construction costs by using much brighter, unrefined lightstones. Now follow me and we'll hit the beach. Right now, we're standing on the shore of Voya Nui Bay, the island's inner coast. It's mostly warm sandy beaches and is home to many water rahi such as these gaffna. The climate is fairly pleasant and idyllic, though you do need to watch out for the lightning storms that blow in semi-regularly. While the forecast says we won't be seeing any of those on our tour, they can be quite the sight, provided you have somewhere safe to watch them from. The bay used to be home to a large region of volcanic rock that the city of Marinui was built on, but now it is not. Speaking of these gaffna, they were originally native to the southern continent and ended up here on Voya Nui when the island broke off. They eat a mixture of grass and roots that they dig up with their shovel-like heads. They're fairly harmless, but as with all rahi, you shouldn't get too close. They will attack if they feel threatened. While they are herbivores, they do have limited elemental powers to protect themselves. So long as we stay a safe distance, we're... excuse me one moment. Let's move on this way. As you may have noticed, Voya Nui is home to a large number of similarly shaped rock formations. This is a geological phenomenon called columnar jointing that occurs when molten protodermis cools. As it cools, it contracts and cracks in regular patterns. After 1,000 years of volcanic eruptions, erosions, and earthquakes, the island is covered in these beautiful natural formations. Some of you might be familiar with these formations already, as a controlled version of this process is actually used to create the large hexagonal pillars used in Metro Nui's Colosseum and defense systems, allowing the Ta and Po Matoran to construct the pillars in place rather than having to carve them in Po Metro and move them to the location. We will see a more extreme and less regular example of this phenomena later when we visit the Black Rocks region. This is our first look at the region known as the Ring of Ice that makes up all of Voya Nui's outer coast. We'll see more of this region later on in the tour, but the sudden shift from jungle to ice is certainly a striking sight. This rahi here is called a burnak. It's the most common predator on Voya Nui. They're very fast and agile and come in varieties corresponding to all the common elements, with the most fearsome being the fire variety. Now, they can be very aggressive, but as long as we... Whoa, stand back! Moving on. This here is the protodermis lake, the only major body of liquid protodermis on Voya Nui's surface. You can recognize it by the distinctive silver color of unrefined liquid protodermis, though it has been a bit diluted by rainwater. This lake is also home to a very rare elemental variety of burnak called a protodermis burnak. If we're lucky, we might even be able to see one. Oh look, there's one now! This unusual variety of burnak is the only known rahi to be classified as having protodermis as its element, although it's been theorized that it may actually belong to one of the lesser known elements such as sonics or magnetism. The name protodermis burnak just comes from the fact that they are only known to be native to the region around this protodermis lake. This river, known as the Lagoon Entrance, is actually the only reliable way of entering Voya Nui Bay, since the mouth of the bay is usually blocked by the strong currents of the Sea of Blackness. Just about everyone who arrives on Voya Nui goes through here, actually. Also, we can see here the rare blocking lava ape, which is closely related to the lava apes of the Cape of No Hope. Blocking lava apes are solitary ambush predators that lurk in narrow choke points and attack anything trying to cross. We're more than safe over here, but if we want to cross, we're going to need to get our friend here to move. Luckily, lava apes are very easily distracted, and we just need to get his attention and run across while he's wondering where the excited Toa went. Like so. You just get his attention and— oh no! Like I said, you do need to be careful around Wild Rahi. But don't worry, just up ahead is the Matoran village, where we'll be able to, what are those? Excuse me a minute. Those are, Nektan? Named after the Skakti warlord Nektan? They're automated defensive units placed here by an outlaw gang and one-time rap group of Skakti known as the Purarch. Oh! Okay, well, I'm sure we'll have this group well in hand by the time you arrive. In the meantime, I'll just deal with these Nektan, like so, and we'll get on with our tour. Now, as you can see, the buildings of the Matoran village also use Voya Nui's signature integral lightstone construction, though since they aren't meant to be guiding ships in, they're much less bright. Just enough so the Matoran can see and work even during less agreeable weather. Now, we actually have special permission to go inside one of these buildings today, so follow me and I'll show you around. As you can see, the interior is atypically large for a Matoran home. This is because the island's weather and Rahi make it impractical to store many things outside. Thus, Voya Nui homes tend to have plenty of additional space for storage. Another unusual trait of Voya Nui homes are these fireplaces which keep the home warm. While Matoran are quite resilient, the weather sometimes gets so cold here that even co-Matorans seek warmth. This is also a great opportunity to see the craftsmanship of the Voya Nui Matoran. For example, this blue pattern on the wall is a design unique to Voya Nui, and you'll see it repeated consistently across multiple buildings. The design of these pots is made with the same pigment, but of course it's much simpler. This chest is another example of integral lightstone construction that is unique to the island. To make it easier to see into them, chests like this contain light stones, with red specifically being chosen here to minimize eye strain in low light conditions. While this bench over here is fairly typical, on it is a lightstone lamp. Voya Nui is so rich in light stones that candles are almost never even used here. Now, we don't want to overstay our welcome, so let's move on. Here, you can see the communal storage area that you'd expect from more typical Matoran villages. As you can see, they mostly use more resilient stone crates, which can better survive stormy weather and curious Rahi. This beautiful stone arch is just one of many on Voya Nui, and we'll see more in just a bit. First, I want to show you this. This dam provides a consistent source of fresh water for the Matoran village, while also being easily opened in case of storms. Don't mind the scaffolding over here, this is just a precautionary measure. Now let's move on. For fun, let's go under the arch. Here, you can see an unusual double arch formation. These are formed by the tides eroding the sedimentary rock off the cliffs. On our right, you can see the Matoran fortress, another site for later. This clearing is actually a work area. There seems to be a project underway, so let's not interfere. As previously promised, this is the region known as the Ring of Ice, which covers all of Voya Nui's outer coast. As you would expect, it's where the Ice Rahi make their home, mostly Gafna and Burnak. Ice Burnak in particular have extensive nests here like these. This is where all the island's recent arrivals, both teams of Toa and the Skakti gang, made landfall. Now, it might seem strange to find a region with such low temperatures next to other, much warmer biomes, and there's actually a very interesting reason for this. You see, Voya Nui is actually located in a very cold region of but the sheer heat from Mount Valmai keeps the interior of the island warm. This is the Matoran Fortress, a safe haven for the island's population in times of trouble. You'll find many capable Matoran here, though they may be a bit rough around the edges, but they're always willing to help people in need. Though, depending on the timing, you might need to bring your own food. Now, since this is a secure location that is in active use, we can't go inside any of the buildings here, but I can show you around the fortress. The houses here are built using the same techniques that we saw in the village. This might seem odd, but the houses were built to be so sturdy that all that was needed to create the fortress was the addition of walls. The same techniques that were used to build the dam were also used here, so the fortress can withstand the weather and rahi of Voya Nui, as well as conventional threats. There's nothing even that Skakti gang could do to hurt us here. Now, I'm sure many of you will recognize this creature right here. It's an Usul crab. However, you're going to want to keep your distance. The rock Usuls found on Voya Nui are not domesticated and can be very territorial. Like I said, territorial. There's another arch on our left. Here, we have an entrance to the Nui Caves. These are the upper level of the vast cave system that stretches all over Voya Nui. While the Great Cataclysm did damage the tunnels, the Nui Caves are perfectly safe. In fact, as I was saying, these beautiful caves have such a high concentration of light stones that we don't even have to bring our own, which is great because these caves are absolutely gorgeous. The cave's name is not just due to their size and beauty though, but also their strength. Before the Matoran Fortress was built, the Matoran used these caves to shelter from the great storms and hurricanes that sometimes hit the island. Now, you may have noticed these lovely blue curtains hanging over this tunnel. They're actually a cleverly integrated security door, and we're going to get to see behind them. Which is good, because this room contains some of the coolest light stones on the island. Not only are there these enormous light stones standing almost 3 bio tall, but over here you can see where a stalactite and a stalagmite have grown together around a light stone. How cool is that? And through here, past even more enormous light stones, you'll see one of the technological marvels of Voya Nui, a teleportation platform. It was made using teleportation Kanoka discs imported before the Great Cataclysm, but unlike the Metro Nui discs, this platform allows the user to reliably teleport to a specific location, like so. This area we've teleported to was once a riverbed, but a volcanic eruption redirected the river a few hundred years ago. Now it's a beautiful valley home to all kinds of desert flora, which serves as a source of food for the Matoran. That door over there leads to the Chamber of Truth? An interrogation room used by the we're not here to see that. If you'll follow me, what we're actually here to see is this. This massive storm drain system was built to keep this valley from flooding during major storms. As you can see, it makes extensive use of integral lightstone construction on the walls to keep the area nice and bright. Now, that might seem unnecessary with these large pillars of light, but these are actually configurable shields used to manage the water flow. The lightstones in the walls ensure that there is plenty of light even when the shields are off. Since it's the dry season, the drain is currently being used for storage. The shields are made using the same technology used in the curtain doors we saw earlier, actually. Currently, this system is used by the Scotty gang. Oh, we should move on. This valley is located in an isolated part of the Desert of Sorrows, only reliably reached by this teleporter. If you come over here, this security door is more to control the movement of Rahi, but don't worry, we'll be perfectly safe. Here, we can see some of the iconic black rocks that surround Mount Valmai. We'll go there later on in the tour. Now, that Gaffna you see over there is actually an air Gaffna. You can tell it apart from an ice Gaffna by its slight green coloration. Well, that and the fact that they live in completely different habitats. See, the air Rahi of Voya Nui actually live in the deserts, where you'll never find any ice Rahi. Speaking of desert Rahi, in addition to Gaffna and Burnak, the desert is also home to most of Voya Nui's arachnoid Rahi, primarily consisting of Kofujaga and Fiku. It's worth mentioning that the Fiku of Voya Nui are very different from the Fiku found elsewhere. As you can see, they possess pincers and a stinger tail, and rather than lurking in high places and catching their prey with webs, these Fiku prowl around the ground and catch their prey with their claws before stinging them. Because of this, Voya Nui Fiku are actually less vicious than most, and they usually won't attack large creatures in Matoran unless they feel threatened. There have actually been arguments made that the Voya Nui Fiku are not Fiku per se, but are an entirely separate species of Rahi. I won't weigh in on this since I'm not a biologist. This cave here is actually where the Matoran keep Voya Nui's historical records. We won't be going in there today, but if you ever want to know more about the island's history, this is the place to go. One Rahi that we hopefully won't be running into today is the so-called Sand Screamer. Supposedly, these are Rahi that dwell in the Desert of Sorrows that can take down even large prey. As the stories go, they make horrible agonized shrieks and leave tracks that disappear within seconds. These Rahi have never actually been observed, though, and in fact, the only solid evidence they exist are carcasses of Rahi they've supposedly eaten. Since the only other known behaviors of these Rahi are making odd noises and leaving tracks that can't be observed, it does seem likely that they are a myth. Still, you should avoid going towards screaming in the Desert of Sorrows. The Desert of Sorrows is actually geographically fascinating. While most of the island's surface is the product of volcanic activity, this narrow region between Mount Valmai and the Greenbelt has actually almost entirely been shaped by flooding. When storms hit Voya Nui, they tend to come across the bay and hit hardest around Mount Valmai. These storms flood the area and the water drains out into Voya Nui Bay. This is what creates the valleys we've been walking through. This is also why the region is almost completely composed of sedimentary stone. Any volcanic rock deposited here is swiftly swept away. Of course, you don't have to worry about these floods when you're here. There's plenty of warning before they hit, and the high ground is never far away. One particularly interesting aspect of the Greenbelt is that no one is exactly sure why it's, well, green. The arid desert and frozen coast that it's nestled between would normally suggest that it should be a very hostile and extreme environment. Perhaps it exists in an area where this latitude's natural cold tempers the island's heat just right for a jungle to grow. Such a thing could be possible with the nutrient-rich volcanic soil that is regularly scattered across the island by Mount Valmai. Of course, there's a more outrageous theory that the Greenbelt is actually caused. Whatever the case may be, the Matoran of Voya Nui tend to avoid the thickest parts of the Greenbelt, both due to the dangerous Rahi and its unexplained nature. We're now entering the most ecologically diverse and dangerous region of Voya Nui, the Cape of No Hope. Beyond the usual Gaffna and Burnak, this region is also home to large populations of Kofu, Jaga, and Fiku. And while I'm sure we can all agree that those are some fearsome Rahi, what really earned this region its name was that it contains most of the island's lava apes and its entire population of shore turtles. Yes, shore turtles. You'll see in just a bit. Now, the lava apes around here are a fair bit different from the blocking variety we saw in the northern part of the island. Rather than being solitary ambush predators, these ones are very aggressive hunters, and they can be quite territorial. So we do need to be careful as we go. Now, it might seem odd that they're called lava apes, considering that they don't live anywhere near lava, but this name goes back to when Voya Nui was part of the southern continent. At the time, there was a jungle where Voya Nui Bay is now, and the lava from Mount Valmai flowed into that region. The lava apes got their name from being tough enough to withstand the heat of the lava that flowed into their jungle home. The creation of Voya Nui Bay is also what led to the separation of the northern blocking apes from the main population in the south. Due to its dangerous Rahi, the cape is avoided by Matoran, and there's only one structure standing here, this sanctuary. It was constructed early in the island's history and provides a window into the early history of settlement on Voya Nui. It was built using older, more ornate, and less robust techniques from the southern continent. These building techniques were later abandoned in favor of the more solid construction style that you'll see elsewhere on the island. This is actually the only remaining structure built in this style. On the inside, you can tell that Voya Nui's familiar style of decoration was developed from southern continental styles early in the island's history. But that integral lightstone construction is a relatively new invention, as this room is only lit by a pair of old lightstone lamps. Now, about those shore turtles I was talking about. As you can see, they're really no different in appearance from any other shore turtles. What makes Voya Nui's shore turtles one of the island's most dangerous creatures is that they're way feistier than other shore turtles. As anyone who's ever run afoul of a shore turtle can tell you, their armored shells are tough to get through. And like so. So, while they can't do much damage, they are able to outlast and wear down any would-be hunters. This is particularly dangerous in Voya Nui's shore turtle population, which can be very territorial. Really, the only thing stopping them from becoming a real menace is that they aren't the flying variety. Yes, there are flying shore turtles. Look it up. What's really astonishing about the Cape of No Hope is the sheer variety of Rahi found here. The only common species not found here are usul crabs and hikaki, and the only type of burnak and gaffna not found here are the fire variety, which stick close to Mount Valmai. Speaking of which, we're going to move on to the final part of our tour, the region known as the Black Rocks. This is the region directly around the base of Mount Valmai. The volcanic rocks from which this region draws its name are one of the most extreme examples of columnar jointing in the known world. Because of Mount Valmai's frequent eruptions, new joints are constantly being formed as old ones are melted by lava. This process makes many of the joints here very sharp and angular. We're actually going to take a shortcut through the Nui Caves here. It's the safest and most reliable way of getting into the Black Rocks' ever-changing landscape. Here we are. Now, there's a great overlook just over here, if you'll follow me. From here, we can get a good look at Mount Valmai in all its glory. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, I'm sure you'd be happy if we spent the rest of the tour here just looking at Mount Valmai. But if you want to do that, you'll have to come here and see for yourself. I've still got things to show you. For example, the Black Rocks are home to Voya Nui's fire Rahi, mostly Burnek and Gaffna. But there's also the heat-loving Hikaki, also known as dragon lizards. These Rahi have an intense love of heat, especially lava, which some legends even claim they feed on. They're fairly safe as long as you don't get too close to their nests.
Are those ice? Oh, okay.
Now, this cave over here is particularly special because it leads fairly deep into the Nui caves. It's not widely known, but the deepest parts of the caves used to be inhabited by And here we find ourselves on the banks of the Lake of Lava, the Black Rocks' other major geographical feature besides Mount Valmine. This large pool of molten protodermis is a reliable source of raw material for those Matoran willing to brave the Black Rocks' dangers. Oh, and as we can see here, they've recently built infrastructure to drain the lake? Why would they? Well, we'll leave them to their work. Over here, we can see how the Black Rocks, far from being a charred wasteland, is actually home to all sorts of plants flourishing in the volcanic soil. In particular, these fire ferns only grow in high-temperature areas, and thus on Voya Nui are unique to the Black Rocks. And over here, you can see the Oh, what in Mata Nui's name is this? Paraka Stronghold? Oh, it just takes the cake, doesn't it? You know what? Since they're already draining the lake, why don't I just go ahead and show you one of the other biggest secrets of Voya Nui. If you'll follow me into this dry lake bed, there is a cave over here that leads to the Chamber of Well, that was our tour of Voya Nui. I hope you've enjoyed this taste of all the wonders that are waiting for you here on the island. We all hope to see you here soon. Bye-bye! Hi everyone, this is Zapdragon, the guy who made this goofy little video. I just wanted to do a little section here at the end to give my unedited thoughts about Voya Nui online game. Truth be told, the game isn't great. While I'd say it starts strong, it really starts to drag in the back half with fetch quests that have you running all over the island. You can kind of tell that it had a troubled development, considering it was supposed to come out in late 05 as a promotion for the 06 year, but ended up releasing in late 06. It's still a serviceable game, and it did make an attempt to fully depict the island of Voya Nui, which I think is admirable. I was able to find at least rough equivalents for many of Voya Nui's listed locations, which tells me that the developers at Ankama Games were putting serious effort into trying to depict the island. And for everyone who just pricked up at that name, this is the studio that made the MMO Dofus, and would later go on to make Wakfu. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is an accomplished studio, and you can see the influence of Dofus on Voya Nui Online Games gameplay. You can also see that their art team knew what they were doing with Flash. The game is, I think, beautiful. The sprite work is excellent, and I particularly think the environments stand out. They're made of a limited number of assets, but they were put together well enough that every screen feels unique. Beyond looking good, this also really helps with navigation. And that's really what motivated me to make this video. To me, Vinod really does provide a lot of Voya Nui's visual identity. I know a lot of people might point to Bionicle Heroes, but as much as I do like Bionicle Heroes' environments, it takes place on Voya Nui in name only. In Vinod, you can go everywhere on the island, from one tip all the way to the other, and thus Voya Nui, because of this game, is actually the most completely depicted location in all of Bionicle. Mont Nui and Metro Nui were both far too big to fully depict in any of the games. With Vinod, I don't even think the scale is too far off, if it's off at all. Voya Nui is not that big of an island, and Vinod has a pretty big map for a Flash game. So, while I don't know if I can fully recommend the game, I would say that if you're interested in the 2006 storyline, it might be worth it just to download the game, use cheat codes to go to the epilogue chapter and turn God mode on, and just take a look around. And that's how most of this video was filmed, and hey, maybe the game's more fun to play in short sittings rather than all at once for a video. And yeah, I'm biased. I got into Bionicle in 0405, which didn't really have online games, not the way 01 to 03 had them. This was the next online game and was the only Flash game that tried to do anything close to what the previous online games did, and I think it deserves to be remembered for that. Also, I do apologize if the background music has driven anyone insane. It's the only non-combat BGM that the game has, and I had to listen to it for well over 24 hours to make this video. I don't find it offensive, and it doesn't register for me anymore, but if you're sick of it, I apologize. So that's it. I don't have anything to plug. I'm not really anywhere. I'm not a video maker. If you want to hear more about my Bionicle theories that I couldn't cram into this video, I'd be more than happy to talk your ear off, but otherwise, I'm just a guy who grew up with Bionicle and still loves it to this day. Thank you.